Welcome to the channel. And so right now I got a 2021 Kia Sorento. It is the EX model. I got it like 3 weeks ago. I am in the process of blacking it all out. The reason why I'm making this video, because I've seen a couple of YouTube videos, and quite frankly some of them are missing to telling you guys what fuses to use, what fuses not to use, the reasons why. And I've actually seen some horrible examples of people mounting their dash cams either on the side here or on the other side instead of doing it in the center. You are more than welcome to place it here, which is where I'm going to be placing it. Some people are concerned that doing so will mess with the calibration of the radar, or they're concerned that it's going to be messing with the radar. But if you look at the radar here for the I believe it's called the emergency collision whatever, and it operates the whole adaptive cruise control and all that. It's pointing outwards, it's not pointing downwards, and so you're more than welcome to put one there. Like I said, I've seen a couple of videos where they put the dash cam here, or they'll put it on the passenger side, on the driver's side. And if you knew anything about your vehicle, you would know that you're more than welcome to put dash cams there. Nothing's going to be obstructing it. The issue would be like if you took that black cover off and you placed it somewhere here. So most people aren't messing with that. I have seen a couple of people do the whole thing where they have like the auto dimming rear view mirror, and they tap into that. I'm not a fan of that. The reason I'm not a fan of that is because I happen to believe that the wires that are associated with the auto dimming rear view mirror are too small for me to work with. Like sometimes if you have to splice into them, you have to be using like a wire cutter, and you're messing with like a few inches of length, and I like having extra room, and so that's why I'm using this direct cable that I bought online. I'm gonna leave a link for some of this stuff here. This is the camera that I usually go with. If I could afford it, I would go with the 4K instead of the 2K, but 2K is the only thing that I can afford now. I've had this camera in like 3 different vehicles that I've owned, and I just like being able to see. There are like better cameras that don't allow you to see, but I like being able to see what it is exactly that it's recording. Anyways, so here's the thing. The reason why I got this direct wire kit is because, one, I think it looks ugly to have your dash cam and unprofessional. I'm kind of a pet peeve when it comes to professionalism, right? At least when it comes to working on the vehicles. I think it just looks kind of whack to have like a USB wire running, either obstructing your view here, dangling down and plugging it into USB. I do think car manufacturers should be putting like a like either a plug-in up there or something. I mean, most people nowadays that I know have dash cams. So the cool thing about this little direct install wire is that you can set it to automatically shut off the camera at when your battery is outputting certain voltage. I like to be on the safe side, so I think I'm going to select the 12.4 volts. So when the battery voltage drops to 12.4 or less, it's going to kill the camera. And so this allows it to be on in parking mode for a little bit. Yeah, you could buy one of those expensive $200 battery packs that allows you to have parking mode for a long time, but I think this is going to suffice here. So what I'm going to be tapping in, I got one of these tap-ins that's going to connect to the red wire here, which is your wire that the car gives after you turn on the ignition. That's commonly referred to as a keyed fuse, or some people call it a switch fuse. What you don't want to use, and I've seen some people use this, I've even seen some professional shops use some of these fuses, which I would not advise you to use. Like things, by the way, I'm not a professional. Things like your rear view light. I used to have a 2012 Camaro like a decade ago, and the shop that I took it to install the amplifier and the speakers, they decided to tap into the rear lights. Well, a couple months later, I'm on a road trip with a friend, and he's like, "Hey man, do you have a button or something that turns off your rear view lights, or your brake lights and your signal lights in the back, because they're not on and off?" I was like, "No," and he told me that after the whole road trip. I was like, what the heck? And I took it to a mechanic. They diagnosed it. They told me what was wrong with it. I took it back to the stereo place, and they're like, oh yeah, we can fix it. But it's like, why are you tapping into that light? You should be running your own thing. So things not to tap into: don't tap into your 10A start. And the reason is because fuses go in and out all the time. You can do your 15 amp washers if you want, and you know, if the fuse goes out, you're gonna know that it's gonna be that fuse, because your washers aren't working. I try to tap into things that I would notice if they're not working, but that won't affect the driving capabilities. Like you don't want to plug into the airbag fuse. Like this is just, you don't want to be messing around with that. You don't want to mess around with the starter or anything that messes with that functionality. And by the way, your battery on your vehicle should be off. It's not on mine, but you know, I'm willing to take that risk, and I have the capability of fixing something if it breaks. But if you're not, your battery should be unplugged.
So I ended up using this USB 10A charger. What would that be? 23, 24, 25, 26, 26 for my switch key. Turns out that this multimedia one I thought was switched, but it's not. It's constant.
This is the ground cable. It's the black cable. And what I'm going to be using for my ground is there is a metal. There is a bolt here. It's a 12 bolts nut, or I should say bolt. And I'm taking that off. It looks like just wrapping around and making some distance between that washer and the copper wiring, or not the wiring, but the insulation for that wiring. That way when it goes on, you're not making a space there with the insulation of the wire. That's what it looks like, and like I said, that bolt is 12 millimeters.
All right, so all I did there was connect that fuse tab to the red wire on that hard wiring wire kit. And this is going to go again into, I believe that's fuse number 53, which is the multimedia fuse, and I believe that controls a stereo or infotainment system, as they like to call it. There's also another multimedia one. I'm not too sure what that one does, but I'm pretty sure you can look it up.
All right, so apparently I got the one that comes with the GPS module. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't really care for GPS. So like I said, before I install this, I want to know what it looks like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to directly connect this right now, turn on the vehicle. The dash cam should power on. It might tell me it doesn't have an SD card, but I got one in the house. I'll go get it later. But I'll just place it here just to double check and make sure that that's where I want it. Once I can confirm that, then I'll place it there permanently, and I'll start working on hiding the wire. All right, so I got my camera mounted. It's where I want it to be. It's a couple of inches there in case I ever want to take off the cable here. As you can see, the view is not too great, but the cool thing about this camera is that you can just, oh, well, I guess you can take a picture. But you can move the lens down to see what you want it to see. I like this view. Much of the top. What you don't want is sometimes I'll see like a dash cam video and it's like 75% or probably like 25% of the video is being taken up by the sky. There's nothing in the sky that I want to record. I would rather have the hood and some of the dash than to have a portion of the sky that is not going to be important in an insurance case, you know? So since we got that all figured out, the only thing that remains is to start hiding the cables. You know, obviously down here it's kind of a mess. I started from here. The camera that I bought comes with some of these. I like these. I bought some extra ones in case I ever needed them in the future. Basically all they do is tie down the cable. I'm going to tie down the cable here a little bit. But for the most part it's going to be hitting on top, and there's actually some space here. It'll run down and it'll get hidden, and then it'll continue to go down there and so on. All right, so you can kind of see how it looks. I added some of those tabs here. I didn't want to add them where there appears to be some vents there, but as you can see, there's like more than enough room. That's my dog coughing up whatever toy he's eating now. He's a golden retriever. For some reason he likes to eat on things he's not supposed to do. Morty. Anyways, there's more than enough room. You actually don't even need a trim piece, one of these. You don't need one of those. You can just put it in here. This, you can use your fingers. I didn't even need to trim. It does get kind of difficult as you go through here, but you can just pull this out, the weather strip, and run the wire through there without having to do anything. I ran the wire through there. You can barely even see it. Kind of see right there, but this I'm gonna bottle up and use one of those small zip ties, or let me see if I. All right, so here's the plan. Some zip ties, and I was gonna use this, but I'm just gonna use zip ties and cut them. I feel like it looks a little bit better. All right, so everything's pretty much done. I went ahead and just zip tied this to whatever this is and put it away if I ever want to come out here and
change the voltage at which the dash cam should turn off, I can always just come and do that here. It is pretty, I'd say probably 2 to 3 feet away from the pedal, so it's not going to be obstructing me in any way. You can't see it unless you get down here and mess with it. So that's back. And just one last check here. All right, the radio's on, and now that's on, which is great. So last thing I need to do here is just, I'm gonna leave it on because I need to change it from kilometers to miles per hour. I need to make sure that the time is right. I want to change it to 2K 60 frames per second if the camera has that. If it doesn't, then I'll just do whatever 60 frames per second it is. So this is pretty much what the setup looks like.